Welcome back to the Professional Lovers Channel. I'm Al.
I'm Patty, and we are
the Professional Lovers.
Here back for another episode of Married at First Sight recap.
Yes.
And the couples are on their honeymoon. All of them.
All of them, yes.
Because Kirsten and Shaq have finally made it. And so everybody is now on the honeymoon. And we've seen some typical moments of couples getting to know each other, and we've seen some awkward moments.
Yeah, and interesting moments.
Yes. So before we get started, we just want you to know that if you are new, welcome. Glad to have you. And we have been married 29 years, and we enjoy facilitating relationships and talking about relationship issues through the lens of Married at First Sight. So we know that this is a produced reality show, so it's not really reality. But anyway.
But it is relational.
It is relational, and a lot of the issues that these couples experience on speed drive are still relationship issues that all couples including us,
yes, have
experienced and do experience. And so that's what we do. Yeah. And we're glad to have you with us. For our regulars, hey, let's talk about tonight's episode.
Yes.
Starting with Nicole and Chris.
Oh.
Yes, they were the first ones.
Okay.
And even though, of course, you know, after 2 days, 3 days, you can't say that you're falling in love with somebody or that you're in love with somebody. Yeah. When they were on their little dinner on the beach, and
being the perfect other,
right? And she jokingly, I think, asked,
"I hope so.
Do you love me yet?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "No, but," and that was good.
Yeah.
To put a but in there, but I can see it happening.
But it's inevitable. We always hear that question at one time or another from somebody.
I don't know. Usually, out of the couples. Yeah. That is always the question. Now, when they had their little drinking session, I'm like, why would you do that to yourself? But she talked about how that reminded her of
her old self,
old Nicole.
Yeah.
And when he asked, what did that mean?
Was old Nicole? Who was old Nicole?
Old Nicole was a drinker, partier, selfish, wanting to just live her life her way. Very self-absorbed, and but once she hit a mature age, 28 or so, moved to Nashville and became new Nicole.
Yeah. And
then they had a little discussion about whether or not her losing her cool would, get on his nerves, because he's a very
even-keeled, balanced individual. He
calm.
Doesn't get too excited, doesn't get too low-keyed. And I guess to a certain degree, I can definitely understand that. I get a little silly, but it's always kind of like being composed, not being surprised by anything. But I appreciate the fact that he was straightforward in expressing the fact that however you lose your cool, for whatever reason, he wouldn't accept the fact if she were ever to go at him for how she's feeling and taking it out on him.
Right.
So.
And she was like, "Cool, you shouldn't."
Right.
And
she said that.
She said that. Now, when those things happen, then we'll see if she's true to her word. Yeah. But she was like, "You shouldn't," and so that was him setting some clear boundaries as to because he said. In talking to the camera by himself, that he's been in relationships like that before. Yeah. And so that's a boundary that he's learned that he cannot allow someone to cross over. So, then they had their next serious discussion about children.
Yeah.
He asked if she wanted kids, and she was like, well.
She never grew up wanting them.
Right, because she saw herself as a traveler,
right.
nomad.
Yeah.
Not
Literally,
putting down roots anywhere.
Which made me wonder if she was running away from something at a young age, something that she saw within, married relationships that she didn't want a part of or whatever, but again, that's just my mind running. But it sounded like that frame of mind was kind of placed in her for some reason.
But new Nicole has begun when she said when she started thinking about marriage, then she kind of became more open to the idea, but she's still not sure.
Yeah.
But he's like, well, I've thought about it. I'd like to.
Age-wise, 36,
because he is 36,
33.
right?
Yeah.
And so, it's still a little easier for a guy to have kids later in life.
But I think he was being conscious of her biological clock. Yeah, he could have kids later on, but, understanding that women have a time frame. They have a window,
I like when she asked him, is this a decision you're leaving up to me? And he was like, no. No. And it shouldn't be, and he said, no, it's a decision we need to make together. We can give it a year or two. It doesn't have to be right away. Yeah. But, no, that's a decision we have to make together. And so then she knows that they kind of have to be on the same page. And there's a lot to think about, and it's not something you want to think about right now. Yeah, but it's good that they put the discussion out there. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Jasmine and Eris. Eris started showing his silly side.
I don't think that's silly. But
because you understand that.
Yeah, I'm a guy.
And they talked about, their serious discussion was centered around previous relationships. He asked her about, she asked him about his previous relationships and why they didn't last.
Yeah.
And he said it was probably
80% him.
His fault. Whether it was timing.
Yeah.
Or whether he just wasn't ready for the type of relationship.
And walked away.
And which was interesting because toward the end when they talked about being in love, and he said he had never been in love, and she's like, but you've been in a relationship for a year and a half. And you weren't in love?
Oh, yeah, and he kind of explained it. He said, I loved the person, I cared for him. I wouldn't want anything to, happen to them and whatnot. And more than likely it hit, a flat line, that he respected, honored, cared for the person, but he wouldn't call it being in love, And so, more than likely it ran its course and he moved on.
But that was scary for her because when someone's 39 years old and can say they've never been in love, then you wonder if they know what that means.
Truly. Yeah.
And so, to already be married to someone, they talked about, was love necessary to say yes on decision day? And he's like, I don't know. I can't answer that because I've never been in love. And so, that can give you pause, but I was saying, wait, don't let that derail you.
I think that was just an honest response.
Don't let that start making you question everything because we've seen that happen over and over again.
You don't fall in love in 2 weeks.
Right. And what does that mean anyway? We've talked about that as well. That falling in love idea. You don't fall in love. You grow into love.
True. Your love grows. And
most people define love as a feeling when it's not really a feeling, but it's a principle.
Yeah, it's an action word.
And we talk about that. And the first time we bring the book out.
We did not forget.
Becoming a Professional Lover. And the very first week's tip talks about what love is. Defining love. Which we believe is exhibited through the life of Christ. And so week 1 talks about that, and then week 2 talks about, what are the principles of love. And several of the, couples are exhibiting that already, especially those who are talking about patience, like Shaq and who are talking about making sure that she feels comfortable, that he feels comfortable, that kind of thing.
Being other-centered.
Right. So, so that gave Jasmine a little pause when they were at their beach dinner, and she's asked,
"It's situation."
Yeah, it reminded us of when we did an anniversary dinner on the beach. We weren't in a cabana, but we were on the beach,
candle lit,
right, and it was awesome. But she asked him, is there anything you want to ask me? And he was like, yeah, what's your favorite sexual position? And she got very flustered, and pleaded the fifth.
And she should have.
And and he was like, you don't like talking about that? Why does that make you uncomfortable? Why does talking about sex make you uncomfortable? And I said, I think that talking about sex makes a lot of women uncomfortable. That's just my personal opinion. I am not one of those, but maybe that's because I grew up with all brothers. But and so I've never been squeamish about stuff like that.
But I also think once he got the reaction that he got out of her and her reservation about that he felt confident in that conversation, not belaboring it, not but it was he knew that he could be lighthearted with it and just tease her with it.
And she said it's because she's modest. She's more modest. And then how many people want to talk about their sex lives to a stranger on camera?
On camera.
That makes it even harder. Yeah, because your parents are watching and your siblings are watching, and so but then she said herself that that's not something she was comfortable with, because in her relationship, she felt like she wasn't that great, and that she could learn more and would want to learn more
with her husband.
Right. So, we'll see how that goes, because he's ready and willing, as he said, become a sex mentor.
Yeah, put it on his resume.
Put it on his resume. He will be a sex mentor. And there's nothing wrong with that. Dominique and McKinley have been vibing quite a bit. He's goofy.
Yeah.
And he's a little goofy, but she's liking that. He's also he displayed a little hesitancy and less adventurousness than she does when they went sailing. Yeah. And he kept talking about, you thought that they were going out there by themselves.
And I kind of thought about that. I'm like, they don't just give you your stuff and let you get out there and not know how to steer something.
Yeah. So when the tour guide, I guess you can call him, got on board, I was like, they got an expert with them. What's he so worried about?
He wanted to go to the first buoy, which they could probably walk to.
Right. And she noticed that he's a little less adventurous, a little bit more closed-minded than she is, but she appreciated him doing it anyway.
Willingness, yeah.
And she said, so I just ignored the negative comments because I know he's going to do it anyway.
Right.
And she gave him his kudos. And he said, I just need a little push. Yeah. And so she's willing to give him that little push.
And I believe in his situation is somebody to do it with. I think in her situation, she's adventurous for the simple fact that these are a lot of firsts in her life, being as young as she is. So she's energetic, she's willing. So, he just has to match that energy.
And so far he's doing that.
Yeah.
They haven't really talked about anything, they haven't broached any serious conversation, at least not on camera. So I'm not sure if that means that they haven't at all, or it just hasn't been drama worthy as some of the other couples. Because, we always have to have drama. Yeah. And then Kirsten and Shaq finally made it to Jamaica.
Interesting.
And they went on their little adventurous ATV run, and she was like gung ho speed racer, and he was
done this before.
Right. And he was a little bit more cautious, hesitant, and then you understood why.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, this boy was thrown out of a moving car at a young age. So, him to be in a very unsafe situation potentially, and it's
driving
not something
again
that he did, but she's done this. I mean, she's done ATV driving. She's in her element, and she took off behind the guide, and she would look back and wonder where he was, and eventually, he gained a little confidence, and did
when he went through the water.
Yeah.
And I just wonder why on camera you didn't hear him kind of tell her why he was being a little bit more cautious, about the accident triggers. But his thing was, look, this is what she is enjoying, and I'm gonna
be there to enjoy
do it with her.
Yeah.
And I like that. I mean, on our honeymoon, he's a golfer. I do not golf.
But
I mini golf.
Yeah.
I do putt-putt.
I do a little
but not real golfing. But on our honeymoon, I went out there and drove the cart, took a book, let him do his thing, and drove him to each hole, and
we were together.
We were together, enjoying time together.
And I appreciated that.
Yeah. I still don't golf. And now he goes out with his buddies and golfs. Because that's what happens.
Yeah.
She did ask him about the kissing. And we've all seen Kirsten. She turned her cheek on the wedding day. When they hit the glasses for them to kiss, she was like,
cheek.
And, but she asked him if that bothered him. If
because
not
she did
kissing.
say that she liked the fact that he does kiss her on the forehead.
That's sweet.
That sweet, endearing kiss on the forehead. And she appreciated that. But come to find out that she's, for lack of a better term, she's insecure about her kissing. I don't know if it's technique but she has reservations in herself about her kissing.
And therefore, it's not something she really prioritizes.
Right.
She prioritizes physical touch. And you can see that.
True.
Even if you look back to the honeymoon. I mean, the wedding.
The wedding.
She was very comfortable physically touching him. She's very comfortable being on him. She was comfortable dancing with him and all of that.
Because if you remember, he embraced her. She turned her cheek. And I remember him saying, I didn't understand that because she actually pulled me in again after the cheek kiss. So there was an embrace. There was a full embrace. And he felt that she even, put effort into being a little closer. So it's not physicality that she's insecure about at all. Just the kissing thing.
And so that was interesting. So now we know why she's not, gung-ho. And maybe he'll be a kissing mentor.
Hey, everybody's trying to beef up their resume these days.
Other, things they kind of briefly talked about and shared is, her telling him what she needs from him, being more of a natural conversationalist rather than presenting her with facts and, and he admitted that, I guess I've been trying to give the perfect answer to the questions. And she was like,
I don't want you to be perfect.
Yeah, don't do that. Just we're not perfect. And so, don't try to be perfect. Just be natural. And let the conversation be natural as well. And she also asked him to stay emotionally connected to her because she has become more closed off.
Yeah. But she's been allowed to be. I mean,
right.
And she was saying that the pandemic just kind of messed with her relational aura, I guess, which I think it messed with a lot of people, But now that she is officially married, she wants to feel the partnership.
And he said, I don't have a problem being patient. I'm going to be patient. And when you're ready and you feel connected enough, then it'll happen. So,
and it will.
And it will. But I was liking their vibe tonight as well. I like the fact that she's opening up. And she even said, I was not initially attracted to you because of the bald head. And he's like, okay, but she keeps rubbing on it. So she must be starting to like it now.
Yeah.
And, and she, and that's always an awkward, thing to talk about, physical attraction.
Yeah, because you don't know first off, you don't know if you're going to be attracted. Now, when you initially see each other, you're like, hey, they're attractive, but is it the attractive that you like?
Right.
Right. So.
Which leads, it's a good segue into our last couple, Gina and Clint, who went on an adventure on their own. Clint likes to do what people don't normally do.
The road less traveled.
Right. And so they decided to go travel to a waterfall.
In a country, tour guide in the waterfalls and
on a bus with other people, and it was not a smooth trip and took
out roads,
more hours than they anticipated.
Exactly.
But they got there and enjoyed themselves, and she took that wrap off, and he had a lot to look at. But, but when they were on the beach, and talking about how they're feeling about where they are, their interaction, and she decided to inform him that she's not really feeling the physical chemistry right now.
Yeah.
And she talked about how
she doesn't normally.
She's not attracted to redheads and gingery features.
Yeah. That
hasn't worked out for her in the past. And of course, that's going to make him feel some kind of way. And my thing was, why do you even need to say that? What is the point of telling someone you are not normally who I would go after? Because this is not a normal situation.
Yeah.
And you've put the matching into the hands of people who are not looking at necessarily, first of all, what you've done in the past.
Because it hasn't worked for you, which is why you're in this situation.
And they're centering it on character and personality rather than looks. And you agreed to marry him, and you said, I do. So I don't understand why you have to then tell him that he's not your type.
Yeah.
I just... And we all have preferences.
True.
I have preference. Thankfully, I got my preference, but I didn't only date my preference. I dated character and personality. And so whatever package that came in that I was attracted to, I dated. Mm-hmm. Why you chuckling?
Because I and you know about this. I used to have this little checklist of what I had.
His
as a
checklist
preference,
is a little crazy.
That to me was cute.
And what were those, dear?
Oh, do we have to go into?
Okay.
No, but
you don't
literally
have to.
Under 5'2", left-handed. What did I have? Dimples.
Pigeon-toed. A little mustache.
Yeah, a little light. I don't know. It was quirky. It was quirky.
Quirky.
Those were little cute things that I had seen in my younger days that, were cute. They don't make sense, but they don't have to for anybody.
And so he did not get his preference.
Not at all. She's 3.5.
I am not under 5'2". I am not pigeon-toed.
Not left-handed.
I'm not left-handed, and I don't have a mustache. Whereas I liked bigger men and browner skinned men.
All of that.
And I got my preference. Yeah. But I'm saying though, I didn't date my preference. Mm-hmm. And you didn't marry your preference.
True.
Because that wasn't a
prerequisite or a requirement or
it wasn't a deal breaker.
Right. I mean, it was about personality and character.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Good chemistry.
Yeah. So, I think that she created an unnecessarily awkward moment by telling him. And the thing about it is, when she asked how he felt, he said, the same.
Yeah.
That there was no real strong physical chemistry, but I think he lied. Because he was wanting to jump her bones on the wedding night.
Day one.
Yeah. And he was talking about how attractive he was very much attracted to her.
Yeah.
So I think to save face, he said, "Oh, I feel the same way." Yeah. But yes, it can grow, and that we were matched for a reason.
But unfortunately, I think that's going to be a downfall with them.
What is?
Just that initial, like, I don't know, a flint or something that just causes a pebble to start rolling down the hill.
Yeah, because he was disappointed.
Yeah.
In her response, and from the trailers of next week, it appears that he's going to retaliate by, basically describing why she would not be his type, but instead doing it in front of other people. Yeah. But we'll talk about that. But for that reason, and we haven't done this yet, but now we're beginning to see the personalities and the couples begin to sort of, see how they integrate or not. And for that reason, for me, Gina and Clint would be the red flag couple for this week.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you?
I agree with the red flag, definitely. I don't think anybody else had any blaring situations. I mean, because that was just a very unnecessary segue into anything regarding, what they are dealing with now. I just didn't think that was necessary.
Yeah. Who's your couple of the week?
Italian and
Nicole and Chris.
Nicole and Chris, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say them only because they were willing to touch base on serious notes and not get carried away with it, but come to a very, mature understanding. But at least get certain things out of the way. It's not like the honeymoon. Well, the honeymoon is, under normal circumstances, a way where you get away from everything. In this case, this is a way where you get away from everything so you can talk about everything, because this is your first opportunity to really actually do that. Now, everything isn't supposed to be, you don't throw it at something all at once. Yeah, but it's discussion time. It's getting to know you, and I guess I appreciated how they communicate, and they've done it before. They've touched base on certain things within themselves and expressed. They became very vulnerable. Yeah,
they're good at being vulnerable with each other. Yeah. My couple of the week is Kirsten and Shaq, because you're watching her open up to starting to like him for him, and not getting stuck with the physical attributes that she didn't necessarily like. But saying the more that I learn about you, the more that I experience you, the more I'm attracted to you.
Right.
Which was a different vibe than Gina and Clint.
Oh, much.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Still saying, she has still said, I wasn't, turned on by the bald head, but
it is who it is.
I'm seeing the sides of you that I can really get with.
Enjoy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they would be my couple of the week. So let us know who your couple of the week and red flag couple were for this episode. And
don't beat anybody up too bad.
I know. Right. So that's it. We'll see you next week. And until then, we want you to love yourself
and each other.
Bye.
Peace.